Hello everybody and welcome. You can tell it's going to be a ball class because I'm starting with my socks off, so we are going to be good to go. Okay, so tonight what I thought we would do is a few little different sequences and get us nicely warmed up. So a full body practice with a short bit of vinyasa in between, so we'll get some kind of warming up in between the sequences. But if you want to come and sit in the center of your mat, if it's comfortable to sit cross-legged, if you want to pop yourself on a block, then find where your sit bones are comfortable, because we're going to do a little bit of stretching just as we start. So just find that nice comfortable place. Take a moment or two, so wherever you've chosen to come to, just check in with your hips and find the way that you've naturally come to cross your legs. And then I'm going to invite you just to switch to the weird way. So we're now the less intuitive side. So often there's a way that we naturally cross the legs. Let's recross them the other way. Okay, now don't worry if one knee is a bit higher than the other. That will be really natural, just the way our hips are. So take time just to notice, how does it feel in our hips? Maybe just placing, without pushing, just placing the hands on the knees and feel for which one feels a little bit higher than the other. Or perhaps they're both the same, that's fine too. We'll just close down the eyes and let the chin drop to the chest. Just let it hang there for a moment and take a moment to trace your attention across the back of your neck. Maybe just notice how that feels today. If you're anything like me, a lot of us are holding tension in our upper shoulders, the neck area. Really commonplace to hold tension, whether you've been doing any written work, or gripping or holding, or any jobs. Somebody was saying to me they've been doing some sanding on the steps and somebody else has been doing gardening. So a lot of this tension that we use in our dominant hand, we feel up in our shoulders and often across to the opposite shoulder. So just start to let the head roll so that one ear drops to one shoulder and you'll feel a nice stretch across the other side of the neck, and maybe rock a little left and right just to get into that gritty area. And if it's too painful, then just ease up a little. If we're holding a lot of tension, sometimes we notice that the shoulder wants to meet the ear, so let it relax. Nice big breath in through the nose. And use your exhale to just really feel heavy in your shoulders. Staying with that head on one side for a moment. And then let the chin very slowly drop back to center. And that can feel, again, quite gritty if you've got some constriction in your neck. And then slowly just roll it round to the other side. Finding a little bit of movement once again, just small movements, maybe tilting the head left and right. You find a place that you just want to hold. Nice big inhale and use that exhale to let the shoulders relax. Take another couple of breaths. Really enjoy this place where we can really tune into the body before we let the chin drop back down to the chest. And as you bring your head back to center, let's take a gentle arm raise. So just gently raising the arms up on the inhale. Exhaling, raining them down. We don't need to make this too strong to start with, so keep a soft bend in the elbows as you lift. Exhale, rain them down. So turn the palms up to inhale. Turn the palms down to exhale. So you're going to feel a little bit more resistance, as if you're pressing the arms through water now. So pressing up Pressing down, feeling that not just in your shoulders, but across your arms as well. Just do 2 more of these. Working with your own breath. Lovely. Use the next exhale. Just to let everything go. We'll do a few shoulder rolls backwards. And some shoulder rolls forwards. Ooh, crunch, crunch. Okay, so interlace your fingers now in front of you. So knuckles facing up. And place your knuckles underneath your chin, elbows down. Okay, so you're just going to rest your chin on top of the knuckles. As we inhale, raise the elbows. Good. And as you exhale, press the elbows down and tilt the chin up. So you're slightly lifting your chin with the knuckles. So you're going to move to your own breath, not a huge movement, more about the elbows dropping down as you tilt your head back. Coming back to center as the elbows come up. You don't need to put too much pressure on the chin. We're just using the knuckles a little bit like a support for the head. One more breath. And then as we keep the fingers interlaced, start to reach them forwards. Drop chin to chest and start to round through the upper back. So keep pressing the arms forwards with the knuckles facing forwards to start with, and then turn your palms forwards. So we're now opening out the hands. Keep pressing those arms away. Feeling that more in the shoulders now. Good. Come back to center. Keep your hands interlaced. Elbows about shoulder height, and we're going to make waves with the wrists. So see if you can make as much movement with the wrists as you can. Now, you'll be raising, normally we sort of start that raise with our dominant hand. So I'm raising it with my right hand and the left hand is following. So just raise it and follow. See if you can make that really nice big wave. Good. And then bringing the palms together now. And the forearms together. Press the two together. So you want fingertips, wrists, forearms, and press them towards each other. Keep pressing. Good. Just give your arms a little shake. And then reaching both hands down. Good for a minute. So thriller hands, I always call this. You're thinking about the fronts of the wrists facing forwards. So you're getting a nice stretch across the top of the wrist there. Point those fingers down. Good. And then press as if you're pressing against the walls. The heel of your hand is reaching forward. Your fingertips are reaching towards your face. Fully extend the arms. If you want more, you can use the opposite hand to gently draw the forefingers back, but that might be more than enough just to press. So see what feels good for you. You'll know the appropriate amount of stretching here. Good. Once again, let's shake those wrists and fingers out. We're going to interlace the fingers one more time, this time taking the palms to reach upwards. So really reach your arms up. Look over and underneath your left armpit as you reach towards the right. So really rooting down in your sit bones. Don't worry about how far you go. Big breath in. Exhale. See if you can keep both elbows fully extended if possible. Lovely. Keep that breath going. Use your next inhale to slowly come back to center. Look underneath your right armpit and start to reach over towards the left. So focus on your sit bones. Make sure the opposite sit bone doesn't pop off the mat. Keep reaching. And then coming back to center, just really shake out the wrists, the shoulders, the elbows, anything at all. So even if you want to give your head a little nod, shake, before we come around into all fours. This time, rather than cat-cow, we're going to make a circle with the whole of the body. So think about shifting your hips and your shoulders to the right, drop belly, shift the belly over to the left, and then pick it up. So as if you're making this nice big sideways circle or oval, whatever you want to imagine it. Doesn't really matter, but really you're trying to get into all of the vertebrae. So as well as the hips, you want to feel like you're bumping your hip left and right. You get the head involved, you can look up and down, make the movement your own. And then switch to the opposite direction. So whichever way you were going, let's move in the opposite direction just to really feel, maybe it's the shoulders that just need a little bit more release. Good. And then coming to neutral, toes at the back of the mat. Start to slide your hands forwards. We're going to come into puppy pose. So the gentler option is to bring the forehead down. If you're wanting a little bit more today, look up to the hands and start to work the chin down. If it's too much to do that, or it feels uncomfortable on the back of the neck, simply tuck your chin and bring your forehead back to the mat. Wherever you are, take a nice big breath in. Using your exhale just to release, feeling that stretch underneath the armpits, so we can feel that around the back of the shoulders. Stretching through the arms, the forearms. The upper ribs are getting a nice open stretch. We can feel that through the shoulder blades. And then the upper parts of the back as well. So just nice, smooth breath here. Good. Now just walking the hands back a bit, we're going to raise the left arm and start to thread it underneath the right. So you're still kind of in your puppy variation. Now, as you thread your left arm underneath the right, if you can get the left shoulder down, that's great. Don't worry if you can't. But a little variation today, we're going to see if we can bring our palms together. Now, if this is too much with the hips high, what you can do is send the hips back and do this here. Okay, so you can do it in a child's pose variation, or you can do it with your hips higher. So see which one feels good for you. So we're just getting a variation on thread the needle. If the palms together is too much, you could always place your right hand behind your back and your left arm out towards the left. So just take what feels good, hips high or hips back in the child's variation, it doesn't matter. Just seeing if we can breathe into a gentle-ish twist to start with. Good. Now to come out, we're going to release that right arm, reaching the right arm ahead of you, and then unthread the left and just return to puppy pose for a moment, or child's pose if that's where you've chosen to come. And then we'll raise the right arm and do the same on the other side. So you'll drop that right shoulder, really see if you can tuck that right shoulder in to get as much twist as possible. And choosing either to bring the palms together to get a deeper twist, or to send the hips back and come to your twist here in the child's pose variation. So maybe have a go at both and see which one feels good for you today. Another full breath in. Taking your time. We're just going to return either to child or to puppy to square off. We slowly roll up into all fours. This time tucking the toes. We're slowly going to make our way into our bear stance. Let's take attention to our hands. Spread those fingertips. Gently just pressing into the pads of each of the fingers and the base of the heels of the hands. As we tuck those toes, shift the weight back into the toes so that the knees start to hover. Keeping the knees generously bent. Bring that belly up to the spine. Keep the spine nice and long. Breath nice and even. Now we're going to tilt as we press and extend, but keep the knees bent. And hinge at the hips to just tap the knees down and then press back up. So we'll find this a few times. This will work into the upper part of your back, your shoulders, using the upper body strength to help keep your arms extended. As you shift the body weight forwards and back, keep those knees bent. Also really nice to waken up the feet as we're keeping the toes tucked. Now, if at any time this becomes too much, you can start to slowly make your way into downward facing dog. We're going to do 2 more if not. Good. And once you start to work your down dog, just take your time. So extend the right leg first. Really start to feel the length through the back of the right hamstring. And then extend through the left leg. So let that feedback come back. So really notice, really listen to what's happening in your body. Is the message different on one side than the other as you pedal a little bit more? And then finding stillness. We're going to stay here for 3 breaths. Really see if you can extend both arms and both legs as you find a full inhale. Pressing the mat away. Keep your chin soft. 2 more breaths. Good. Now come onto the toes. Lift your hips. Bend your knees. And really slowly, we're going to go back into that bear stance. Really slowly as the knees come back to the mat. Untuck your toes and just swooping the hands backwards if full child's pose is accessible. If not, keep them forwards and your knees apart. Nice big inhale. And release the breath. Take another full breath in. And really let that breath go. So see if you can feel like your lungs are emptying. Really breathe out, out, keep breathing out. And just do a couple more long and slow breaths wherever you are. And then we'll all extend the arms back onto the knees and tuck your toes. We'll do that again through bear stance, engaging through the upper body. So you're pressing the mat away, belly button to spine, shifting the weight into the toes so that when the knees lift, we're already ready. We've got that strong body. And then we can pivot back to our down dog variation and extend both legs to downward facing dog. Good. Now we're going to bend the right knee and bring the right knee to the right elbow as you shift forwards. And then come back to down dog. Take the left knee to left elbow as you shift forwards. Back to down dog. So we sometimes do this through extended 3-legged dog, but this time we're doing it a bit different. So we're going to keep one foot on the mat. Slowly. See if you can find full down dog in between. Okay, so rather than compromising the pose by going too fast, I want you to go nice and slow with your own pace. Finding full down dog, so really extend both arms and both legs before bringing alternate knee to elbow. Don't need to do this at speed. Let's do it well. Okay, so the next time you're in down dog, right knee now comes to left elbow. So we're going to see if we can get those external obliques switching on. Don't worry if you don't make the hole all the way around. So right knee to opposite elbow. So it'll be right knee to left elbow, left knee to right elbow. And again, come all the way back to down dog. So don't cheat by just coming halfway. Really press, because that will be your counter pose. Once you come back into downward facing dog, that will really help to reset the spine. If you're okay to keep going, then do so. If not, either hang out in child's pose or in down dog until we're all meet. So I'm just going to finish one more round. Left knee to left elbow. Now the next time your right knee comes forward, you can start to bring it all the way forward so that your right foot is between the hands, and we'll lower the left knee and untuck the left toes. Okay, so this is our first lunge. Take a little bit of time here. Just finding that connection between the front foot and the earth. So really spread the toes of that right foot. Feel the hip. See how it feels. Do you need to alter the length of your stride here? Now as you press into the front foot, light on the hands, but take the hands back. Keep them down. We're not going to take them overhead just yet. Reach them behind you. So we're just opening the shoulders a little. Keeping all that weight over the hips. Pressing into that front foot. Start to hug the hips together. So you want to feel really strong in the hips. Maybe just exploring what it feels like to come forwards a tiny bit. Work into the pose. Now take those arms up and overhead. Open up the chest. Reaching the arms up. And slowly bring the hands together and through the center line to Anjali Mudra. So your thumbs will be at your heart center. Get your sacred. Good. The breath here, just stay with this longer if you can. And one more breath. And then exhale to bring the hands down. Now we're going to start to shift the hips back, but they're going to work all the way back. So we're coming into half hero pose. So as you sit your sit bones back, your left shin wants to be outside of your left hip. Okay, so we've got that left knee bent. If it's really uncomfortable to come into this position, switch so that your left foot is on the inside of your right leg, and we can do this here, okay? So you've either got it in a half hero pose, or your left heel and your shin, the calf are outside of your left leg, with your right leg extended. Okay, find both sit bones. They start to lengthen, and then draw the toes of that right leg, of the right foot towards the face, so you're pressing the heel away. Reach arms up and overhead, feel that length through the side waist. And as you bring your hands down, we're going to tent the fingertips, so make them into little cupcakes. Tent the fingertips down wherever you can reach. It depends where you come to. Mine are more or less in line with my knees. Just where my front knees and my back knees, like my knees. Inhale, raise that chest. And as we exhale, we're going to bend the elbows and dive down. Inhale, lift. That front foot active. Exhale, dive down. Don't worry about how deep you go, that's fine. Inhale, lift. Even if it's a tiny bend of the elbows, and then lifting. We're just going to feel that movement, no matter how small the movement is. And one more dive. And then the next time you dive, release the arms with the palms facing upwards. So depending on how low you are, you might now want to place your forearms on your blocks. That can be really nice. Okay, so find some support if you need it. Start to let the chin come to the chest, reaching the chest forwards. Just allow the body to relax over and forwards over that extended leg. Another 2 breaths here. And slowly walk your hands back up. So we're back up to seated. Bring your hands to the mat because we're going to shift the weight forward. So just reversing everything. So you're back in your lunge. A bit of time. By all means, place your hands on blocks if that's easier, because we're going to tuck the back toes and lift the back knee. So again, just an opportunity to see how the hips feel in a high lunge variation. Okay, I've done this a lot. You stay where you are. I'm going to have my back to you if I do it this way. So you stay where you are. You're going to walk your hands inside your right foot now. Okay, so it's almost like a lizard. And then keep walking them towards the center of the mat. We're going to make our way into Skandasana. So pivot on your left foot. Start to bend your left knee. Extend your right leg and drop the hips, okay? So right leg is extended, left knee is bent. Your left side of your body is basically like a squat, Hindi squat. Hands on the floor or on blocks. Start to sink your hips and dial your right foot up towards the ceiling. So this is the key. Rather than the toes facing forwards, you want to dial the right knee and right toes up towards the ceiling. So you're really opening out that hip. So have a little go and see where you're at. Don't worry about how low your hips are. You might be quite high up. You might have your hands on the blocks. We'll all be in different places for Skandasana. You can work here with the chest low, or you can work to bring your chest high. So lots and lots of places to work. Make sure you've got support. The other option is to take one hand behind this left knee. The left knee is quite far forwards and one hand in front. So if it looks different to mine, don't worry about it. Okay, working those hips down, that's the way you're going. Apologies for switching sides, that's probably really thrown you. I did intend to start on the other side, but I got distracted. Okay, so just staying in your version of Skandasana. If you've been doing this a while, perhaps you can start to take your hands off, bring your thumbs to your sternum, lift the chest. Really active on that right foot. So drawing the toes towards the face is going to actually strengthen through that right leg and help you with your balance. And if you found you sat on the mat, that's absolutely fine too. Don't worry, there's lots of variations here. Another breath. And then we're going to reverse that. So fingertips back to the mat. Start to walk your hands towards your right foot. I'll switch back so that I don't confuse you. And you'll end up back in your lunge. Your left leg is extended. Right foot forwards, hands on the mat. And let's reach that right leg all the way back up to three-legged dog before bringing it down to downward facing dog. Take a moment to really press the mat away, press both legs into extension. 3 full breaths here. Option to come to child's pose or to use this resting pose as downward facing dog. Start to roll over the toes as we make our way into a full plank pose. Option for knees, chest and chin Or if you're working with chaturanga, then lowering through chaturanga and up to upward facing dog or to cobra. So you'll know your variations. Do what's right for you. If you're wanting a more fiery practice, perhaps you're looking for upward facing dog. And we'll all join back in downward facing dog. Good. We're going to go back to that exercise where we're going to lift the left knee and take it to the right elbow. And slowly bring it back. So you go back to your external obliques, left knee to left elbow. Really encourage you to do this slow. Many of you will be familiar with this little routine, but you probably do it quite fast in a lot of vinyasa classes. So do it really slow. And don't come into three-legged dog. We're just going to keep the feet nice and grounded today. We're just padding it out, really seeing if you can draw that knee all the way, just to touch the elbow. Can you make it all the way forwards using the upper body strength? Even if you can't make it, just visualize that it's just touching. Good. Now the next time your left knee comes forward, isn't it? Yes. Get there. Keep going. Next time your left knee comes forward, bring it all the way through so that it's in that lunge, and we'll lower the right knee and untuck the right toes. Finding blocks if you wish. Take your time to allow that left hip to drop. Start to root through the left foot, so really engaging through the toes, the sole of that left foot engaging, so that when we press into the left foot, the hands feel light and the upper body feels light because it's well supported by the lower body. Just let the arms reach behind you, opening the chest. Again, opportunity to explore your lunge here. And then we'll inhale and take the arms up and overhead. Finding that length through the side body. Bring the palms of them together as they slowly come through the center line. And find Anjali Mudra, dropping the chin. Let's take the hands now down to frame the foot. Tuck the back toes and lift the back knee. We're going to make our way back into Skandasana. To start by bringing both hands inside of that left foot. And as you walk your hands back towards the right foot, pivot on the right toes so that the right foot is at 45. Coming into a squat. Left heel is on the mat, the left toes facing upwards, and working your hips slowly down. Take your time. So if you can get your hands inside of that right knee, you can encourage it to open. You could have your arms reaching forwards if that feels nice, or perhaps you want to just take one hand behind you, and that's fine if you want to feel a bit more balanced. So find the option of Skandasana on this side, and it can feel really different. One side might feel a little bit more unstable. Engage through the back of that left leg by drawing the toes towards the base, so you've got a really strong active foot. Here's another breath. Hands down to the mat and walk your hands forwards towards that left foot. Pivoting on the right toes to once again just find that lunge, hands down to the mat. Let's reach the left leg up and overhead, three-legged dog. Slowly left leg comes down, finding downward facing dog. Coming over to find your plank pose. Option for either knees, chest, chin, or coming onto the toes, lowering through chaturanga, and rolling up into upward facing dog. Option to go into child's pose or to meet in downward facing dog. Come onto the toes, bend the knees, slowly hinging at the hips. We're going to come back into bear stance. Let the knees come down, untuck the toes, and start to sit back into Virasana, hero pose. So for some people, hero pose is quite strong on their calves, on their knees. There's an option here to come and sit on a block, or to, if you can, sit back with your shins each side of your thighs, then all well and good. So options there. If you want to encourage your calves outwards, that's good too. So wherever you've come to, the sit bones want to have contact either with a block or the mat, and we can sit nice. If it's not good for your knees, if there's just any discomfort there, just have the legs out long just for now and come to Dandasana. Inhale, let's take the arms up and overhead, reaching nice and long. So we can take the fingertips behind us and have the chest open. Or if it's accessible, perhaps we can work down onto the elbows. Now, if the elbows don't come all the way to the mat, again, you could put blocks behind you and put your elbows onto blocks. If you're right to take the head back, see how that feels. And then if it allows to come all the way to the mat into full Supta Tadasana, reclined hero pose. That might be within your practice, but that's a strong pose. So only do this if you're familiar with the pose and you know your knees are happy with this position. Whichever variation you're in, just take a nice long breath in. Slowly releasing that breath. Feeling that stretch across your quadriceps, fronts of your upper legs, chest. And then whichever variation you're in, just take the time to come up very slowly. So just pausing between the steps. You're all the way down the mat, come back to your forearms first, before tucking the chin, and then pressing to come back into Virasana. Just come forwards on the knees and tuck all the toes. So just take over to get those toes tucked as we bring hands to heart center. And take your knees about hip width apart. So don't zip them up. We're going to have them about hip width apart. A little bit of a challenge here. I don't know if I can do this either. But we're going to see if we can come into our squat by lifting the knees. Oops. All right, I'm going to try that again. Lifting the knees and coming into a squat. Okay, so you might need your knees wider actually. That might be more helpful. Okay, I'm going to try that a few times to see if with your hands on your heart center you can lift and come into a squat. So make your way by heel toeing your feet as wide as the mat now, taking your elbows inside your knees. Pressing into your heels. We're going to take the hands forwards. So whichever variation of Hindi squat you're in, Malasana, even if your heels are slightly off the mat, that's fine, because we're going to walk the hands as far forwards as you can. So really extend through the arms. Press your knees wide as you drop your chin and chest down. So we're thinking about stretching through the upper back as you press your knees backwards and out towards the sides. Keep reaching forwards as you press your feet into the mat, knees nice and wide. Slowly bring your fingers back and find your way back into Malasana. So now lengthen through the spine. Think about really finding length as you drop your tailbone. Fingertips pointing up towards the sky. Using your elbows just to gently encourage knees out. Hands back to the mat. Reach them forwards as you press to extend through the legs, and we'll just come to a downward facing dog as our counter pose here. So letting the legs just get all that blood back to them. Elbow nice and high. Really feel that length as you press the heels back. Into plank for the last time tonight. Good, nice, strong plank. Come right onto the tiptoes. Everybody challenged to lower to slowly through chaturanga, keeping the elbows tucked into the chest. Pressing forwards into your variation of either upward facing dog or cobra with the hips down on the mat. Lowering the knees, and then everybody pressing back into extended child's pose, either with the knees together or the knees apart, whatever is most comfortable for you. Breath in. Reach those arms forwards, feel that lovely stretch through the shoulders and the upper parts of the arms. Breath up. Good. Swooping the hands backwards. Just come to sit around into the center of the mat now. Back right on top of your sit bones. Spine nice and long. Let's make our way into boat pose Navasana. So shins parallel with the mat, either holding the backs of the thighs, or if you're ready for Navasana, perhaps you're reaching your arms long, keeping that crown of the head reaching up to the opposite corner of the room. Maybe even starting to challenge yourself to lengthen through the legs today. So this can be a bit more of a fiery practice. Reach, reach, reach. If you need to hold onto the legs, that's fine. When you're ready to come down, toes to the mat, hug your knees into your chest. Really feel a rounding through the upper back. So as if you're really trying to expand through your spine, expand through the ribs. Good. And let's take ourselves down onto the mat nice and gently. So just rolling one vertebra at a time until your spine is snuggled on the mat. Make sure you've got yourself right at the top of your mat. And we'll just extend both legs. Give the backs of the legs a good rub with your hands. And find happy baby. So bending the knees each side of the body, toes, heels pressing up to the ceiling, soles of the feet to the ceiling. And we're now in our squat, but we're upside down. So exactly where we've just been, more or less. Good. Now holding onto the left knee, start to extend the right leg. Really extend it long. Good. Hug that left knee just outside, rather than to the chest. Think about the left knee staying more or less where it was in Happy Baby. So it's just outside of the chest towards the left armpit. Hug it nice and tight. Good. And then return it to half Happy Baby. So if you can hold the shin, the ankle, or perhaps even the foot. If it's too uncomfortable to fully extend that right leg, you may bend it, of course. But if you can keep it long, wherever you've come to, take the right hand onto that right hip to anchor it down. So just gently working that left knee down towards the mat. To release that left leg, give it a good hug. And holding the left knee with the right hand, we're going to bump the hips to the left and gently cross that left knee all the way across the body. So coming into our supine twist with the right leg extended. So take that left knee all the way across. Don't worry about the left shoulder coming off the mat. And just rest your right hand, right arm on that left knee. That will kind of anchor it down. So now your hips should be sort of perpendicular to the mat. So they're right angles to the mat, stacked on top of each other. Take your left hand on top of your left hip. Okay. Now what we're going to do is kind of peel the spine back. I want you to take your hands up to the lower ribs now. And imagine you're peeling the lower ribs back. Work them up a little bit higher. Peel the lower ribs back. Take them up perhaps a little bit higher. Peel those ribs back. Take the hand now to the left shoulder. Peel the shoulder back. And what you might find is your twist deepens with each sensation of peeling backwards. So just find a place where you can rest. Perhaps that left arm is extended to the left side of the mat. You might even be looking towards the left as you keep just a gentle pressure on that left knee with your right hand. Wherever you've come to, let's close the eyes now. We're going to use this time to really allow the body 2 or 3 minutes just to sink into this nice twist. Let's start by engaging our ujjayi breathing. Use the soft constriction of the throat. Just slow the breath down. That's it. Notice if there's any softening happening. As you stay longer with this pose, just allowing the muscle to move. And let go a little more. Give into that twist and just let your body melt. And the next inhale, just take the head back to center first. and pause there. Take your hand, right hand off the left knee and allow it to spring a little back before bringing the left hand all the way around to that left knee. So that will square your shoulders onto your hips. Now you can guide that left knee back to center to bring the whole spine flat on the mat in a one-up. And slowly press the left leg out long. So that left hip has worked quite hard there. Let's bring the right knee into the chest initially. And then just out towards the right side of the body. And we're going to find that half happy baby variation. So whatever you can hold on to of your right shin, ankle or foot. And then the left hand will anchor down on that left hip. This is a strong pose, so always take the option to bend the extended leg, or indeed just to hook that right hand around the back of the right thigh. That can feel really nice, particularly if you've got anything going on in that right shoulder. As we release hold of that right foot, I'm just going to hug the right knee to the chest once again. Take the left hand to the outside of the right knee and bump the hips to the right. So we're going to guide that left knee all the way over so that your hips are now stacked on top of each other, and perhaps the whole body, in fact, is faced towards the left. Leave your left hand on that right knee, right hand to the right hip initially. Take it to the lower ribs and start to encourage that twisting. So you're peeling the ribs as you go, peeling them back, working your way up until your right hand comes to your right shoulder, just peeling backwards, away from that left knee. And eventually, finding a place where perhaps that right arm is extended or even kept low. It doesn't matter, it can be closer to the body. That's my water gun. Just looking over to the right side. Just keep that left hand on the left knee, so you've got a little bit of pressure there to keep that twist working. So whilst you've got the pressure with your left hand on your right knee, you want to actually relax in the right hip. You want that to really let it do the work for you. Closing down the eyes can really help. So we'll have a couple of minutes here, just as we did on the other side, to allow the body time to sink into the pose. But with your ujjayi breathing, soft constriction of the throat as we inhale, slow release on the exhale. And just letting go, And start to close this pose. When you feel ready and satisfied that you've done both sides equally, take the head back to centre first. Release the left hands of the right knee, you can spring a little. And take the right hand to that right knee. Spine is back in alignment. And then guide the whole body back. The spine flat on your mat by guiding that right knee. Extend both legs nice and long. So reaching the heels to opposite corners of the mat. Let's take the arms up and overhead and reach the arms to opposite corners of the mat. Start to reach fingertips away from toes. So we're going to make a nice big diamond shape. Really reaching. Reach a little bit further. Use your exhale to allow the arms to come back overhead, back to rest each side of the body. Fingers can now just gently curl into the palms. Feet can flop out to the sides. The softness in the backs of the knees. Body starts to spring back into its natural shape. Curve at the lower back. Softness around the belly. The rise and fall of the chest. Let the shoulders feel heavy and supported. Let the back of the head feel rested. And clench the teeth, put them together, and let the jaw relax. Breath in through your nose, slowly. Let that breath go. Settle into your relaxation. You want you to stay for 5 10 minutes if you can. Really enjoy soothing practice. And I look forward to seeing you